We get closer to the BC election, a lot of issues come up, including racism, which we've talked about extensively on this program. For more on this, we're joined by our next guest, Dominique Jacobs, with the Support Network for Indigenous Women and Women of Color. Dominique, welcome to the show. You're joining us from Victoria this morning.
Hi, good morning, Thor. Yes, I am.
We want to hone in on a specific issue, of course, with anti-Black racism. And my first question to you is, are the political parties in BC doing enough to address anti-Black racism?
Great question, Thor. And the short answer is no. The NDP government has various anti-Black racism strategies in place, but the UN decade focuses on anti-Black racism specifically. So there needs to be a focus on how to improve the outcomes of Black communities in BC.
And what steps would you like to see implemented to properly address this very serious systemic issue through your group?
Well, what we'd really like to see is for some active, concrete steps taken to implement the UN International Decade for People of African Descent. Within the recommendations from the UN, there comes with specific action steps. So one of them is to raise awareness in the general public about the heritage and culture of people of African descent. Another would be to deliver anti-racism strategies, including anti-Black racism training, to prevent systemic racism in provincial policies, programs, services, and as we know, it goes all throughout the education system and through all of our societal structures that we have. Another recommendation would be to create a paid advisory committee of people of African descent to work with and advise staff between 2021 to 2024 on the implementation of the decade. And another step would be to develop capacity building grant programs for Black-led organizations, Black entrepreneurs, Black business owners, and institutions supporting and working with people of African descent. And we'd really like to see some tracking and demonstrating progress with respect to provincial hiring practices at all levels to reflect the diversity of British Columbian communities. We don't see any Black faces in leadership positions right now, Thor. So that's another concern.
Dominique, for you living in Victoria, have you seen anti-Black racist behavior in your community, or have you been a victim of it yourself personally?
Absolutely, Thor. Absolutely. My daughter, she's only 4 years old, and she's in preschool right now, but we've already experienced racism in the public education system, rather. We've experienced racism. We take the bus. So we've experienced racism in public transport. Right now, I'm working on a resolution in that matter. We've experienced racism in local businesses. Right now, there's another issue with a local restaurant that has banned us from the restaurant. And the funny thing is we can't even get in touch with the owner. We tried several times to email, and the whole message is that we don't care about you. We don't care about your experiences when we are just completely stonewalled. So we'd really like to see action and steps in place to correct anti-Black racist behavior. And as CNWAC is a healthcare organization, the CNWAC is short for the Support Network for Indigenous Women and Women of Color. And research clearly shows that many people believe that Black people don't even feel pain. So this is corroborated with the stories we hear from our clients as well. Doctors repeatedly refusing to prescribe patients with pain medication, for example, racialized mothers not being asked about pain during postpartum recovery check-ins, people being even called the N-word and other racial slurs during their medical appointments. Right. So these are just major issues, and it's so systemic, it's so deeply ingrained that we're really looking to the province to step in and take those concrete action steps to develop an overarching anti-Black racism strategy where businesses and all the corporations can look to give them guidance on how to react and how to interact with Black communities. Right now we're in the middle of the second civil rights movement, Thor. So we want to see the province of BC coming out on the right side of history.
All right, lots to talk about there. Dominique, thank you so much for making sense of it. And people can go to the website for more information. And thank you for shedding some light on this very serious and important issue here in the province today.
Thanks for having me on, Thor. It's been a pleasure.
All right, of course. That's Dominique Jacobs. She's with the Support Network for Indigenous Women and Women of Color. And much more BT to come after this.